as Famous. Just tucks himself away inside the corner. Naos doesn't care though. Papichulo along with Wits inside of Lamps, they deal with their own problems. It's going to be tough for this retake to go through. Blaze King and Severine just don't have the positioning, don't have the space because of Naos' hold. So it's going to be that save, maybe a bit of an exit frag, but so far, so good. Look at how Naos played this post plant.
And if they can't utilize Mojer on going for this push, for being that entry as the Raze, they're going to go the opposite way. They're going to go the other option, which is to burn out utility very quickly, be aggressive. There's a risk, of course, for the contact. Doesn't matter. They're still going to try to utilize and get as much scouting in. They utilize their double smokers, their double controllers, and it works out. Again, it's just a one-round difference, or a one-round difference of how they did those plays. But at least you do see that Naos is willing to do other things to try to break down the defenses of Boom.
I'm so sorry I'm late, Gila. I'm very late.
Lots of considerations, and they know how to adapt. Again, something that we've seen from the past two maps is that Naos never gives up, and Naos always tries to find adjustments. Of course, sometimes you have Amix whispering in their ears, but now it's just going to be Senor Carl with the orbital strike at the ready. Boom. They've managed to scrounge out a bit of a buy-in, of course, the weapons that they've carried over from the past round.
So close.
The main thing is still utility, the
painful
reads.
To watch.
Naos are playing so careful, so safe,
Inahalo.
that I don't think Boom are seeing all that much. Papichulo and Berserks kind of staring at each other.
Now they're pushing in. Joss going to be clearing the left, while Mojer on the right. There is the teleporter. Wits is going to run away before he gets caught right then and there. And they're trying to save their teammates, but they're taking some passive damage through a couple of the tags, a couple of the mollies. This might not be too good. They could go for the TP if they wanted to. The smokes are still active. They still have a little bit of cover, but this is now looking a little bit dire for Naos. Do they understand? But Ja, you're absolutely right. He actually found some access to the back of the site. Berserks does have some value off of the Stingers. Spike will finally get planted, and this is too much of a mishmash, to be honest. I'm confused as to where the players are. Now that we see a little bit of breathing space, there's a lot of the players of Naos all the way through U-Haul here. They're being pushed, they're being prodded, but they are not backing away. They're looking very defiant. Wits has control on short, but he's got to be careful. Severine on the flank. He's unaware of this, and Severine is about to hit it. Wits is not looking in the right direction, and Mojer out in the open as well, and he's being toyed by Severine, and Papichulo 5 HP, and he's gonna get overwhelmed. Naos committed, and Naos will get gutted.
Just gut-wrenching. They had the plant, they had the site. With the way that they managed to push through, you would have expected Naos to come out with this round. The orbital strike committed. Ja actually able to go all the way through and up on Heaven, excuse me. But that is where things also start to fall apart. Boom knew how they were positioned, and Boom, with Severine at the helm, comes up from behind, strikes them down all in full. It's 2-3. Still they have the guns, still Naos is fighting, and they've got the couple of ultimates online. Ja on that tour.
Sorry.
Yeah, absolutely right. Well, what could have they done, right? They had to commit to the fight, but Boom just played that even better than what Naos could have hoped for.
I was watching the whole game.
No more TPs, trying to get in closer. They're popping a couple of shots, but they know he's that one. I mean, he's going to be using his pistol, right? That's definitely got to be Ja. In any case, Boom just making sure that they do have a bit of understanding, a bit of a faded picture as to where Naos are outside of Hookah.
It's outside of Hookah, and that is the issue. Severine is trying to play inside that corner, but look at this swift play from Shiro.
Let's go.
Severine swaps up. Ja thankfully pulls out his headhunter in time, but still, all of this presence, all of this damage done, and Papichulo is still trying to have that positioning up over by A. Famous is just waiting for him. He has his scent. And pretty soon, as soon as the push goes through, Famous peeks at the right time, dodges the shot. Papichulo stays alive, if only but for a second. 30 seconds remaining. And he has a couple of options, but still not all too great. He goes for the duel instead and takes out Berserks. This is a great start, but Shiro,
let's go,
just bullseye.
Waring Cipudina.
Bobby Chulo's too good, but he can't do everything himself. Gotta love the exchange of encouraging words. We call it trust talk.
Trust talk?
Yeah, gotta trust that you can't beat this team. That's what Boom is trying to say. Well, looking like that, their composure as well as their adjustment. Talk about how Naos is quick on the adjustment. Of course, Boom is on the same wavelength, if not even more. And Naos would have to call the timeout pretty early as well. Their coach, Amix, giving them a little bit of understanding. And again, you know how Naos tend to spiral by themselves, so they need the helping hand of their Shadow 6-man, their coach, to give them that words of encouragement and, again, to stabilize his team.
Yeah, because you talked about it before, right? And we hear Dax in Black and Blue mention it all the time as well. Now, as a team, you know, if they start to lose some rounds, sometimes they start to lose their heads. They start to lose their cool. So this timeout will be necessary to bring them back. They had a bit of a lead, and they need to hold on to it. Meanwhile, for Boom, I mean, these guys, again, still fired up, and they are starting to find ways to work against Naos' slow and methodical play. Severine and how he uses his utility to scout out information, and also just that presence on the A side. Nobody is over-rotating too much, and that is a good thing for Boom Esports.
Yeah, there's so much on the line for, on the flip side, for Naos to imagine, again, being compared to Team Secret that is on the franchise league already. Imagine always called to be the #1 supposedly right now in the Philippines, but they can't prove it because they can't get out of the international scene. And Boom is another obstacle on the line right in front of them. And if they lose the series, the group stage is looking pretty grim for Naos. I mean, again, the tiebreakers for them also looking not too bad pretty bad right now, so they definitely need this series win.
Both sides too.
Ooh, let's go.
Finds a pick. Blazeking
Nice
trades.
trade.
Of course, that is a bit of presence outside of B, but the main thing is we've got the Alt Orb inside of Baths. That is an ultimate that they can use, and very well, a bit of a party brought over onto the A site. Seeker spent along with it too, and Shiro wants to stop them in their tracks. Doesn't connect onto anyone though. And then the push. Hawk out. Vision robbed. Senor Carl is now looking for heads to rip off. Shiro's looking for the bullseye again though, but this time just a little bit shy. The spike has been planted and the site now belongs to Naos.
Definitely do have control of the site here. Blazeking and Shiro.
Whoa.
Blazeking has an angle here. Yep, there it is. He got the first. Naos are a little bit too over anxious. That's a great starting pick from Blazeking.
Good info.
Good info indeed. He still has the snake bites to force him out in the open. And what is Naos doing? Boom is able to just isolate these fights bit by bit. Very expensive endeavor. Blazeking around the corner. Now has to start to tap the spike. He doesn't really know where the other one was tucked in. And that's going to be a good one for Naos.
Minus satu jantung, iya Kochi.
Dari tadi. They are so good at just,
Astagfirullahaladzim.
how do you say, tempering the players of Naos, that they have to be extremely careful even when it looks like they have the advantage.
Precisely. I mean, you look at how this retake almost went through with Shiro and his shock dart, and the way that they're just trying to find a bit more space to push up. And of course, Blazeking with the angle that he had, he anticipated it. He knew to check it. And that is kind of the contrast that you have between these two teams. Boom is so experienced. They've got LAN experience. Severine has 11 years of FPS experience. Naos, on the other hand, it's the younger guns. And sometimes they get overzealous. Still, they're not out. They're still alive. And they're slowly making their way up towards B once more. This time you've got angles being held with an operator from Shiro though. He dodges the first blind. Now sees the Trailblazer.
Shiro pakai office ya.
Takes it out. Meanwhile, Famous just lost his head on the site. There was a bit of noise out from Hookah. And this kind of says to Boom that maybe it's another push towards B, but you never quite know. And that's why Blazeking and Berserks are still on A.
Absolutely. They have to keep guessing. They have to find that information. Seems like Naos have actually started using Jaw as an entry fragger slash lurker, whatever happens, and then Moja's gonna be the one to, if they actually push on the side, he's gonna be the one to really get the contact onto the side. Nice nade though to flush out Blaze King. And they do get front control of the side, but not the back. So there's still a great foothold for
nice
Boom.
mga.
And Senior Carl had to give away his life to just plant the spike. This is outrageous. And there's going to be the orbital for the double kill onto Mojer and Ja. And Mojer.
Alhamdulillah.
No, it's Bobby Chulo. And he trips up.
Karen
And
daw.
Severin catches him as
Gimana,
he tries
Karan?
to push through
Gimana?
on triple.
Din
That's
kenapa
just how
ceplok.
things go. You talked about the utility from Boom, and
Oh,
Berserk
pikir aku manghilang
waited
din
for the
ka.
opportune
Halo,
moment
Linggo.
to send
You're
in
back.
that satellite laser.
Hope
I
you're
mean,
having
just
a good
knowing
day,
that it was
G.
going to be a set
Thank
hit
you.
pretty
I
soon,
hope
either
you're
on B or A.
having a great
Boom
day
had
too.
alternative plans and
It should be the
solutions.
LA
The
game.
incendiary
I haven't.
first, just in case,
I haven't
and then
finished
the
the
orbital strike to
game,
cover
actually.
the
Saving it for
adjacent
later.
positions. And of course, pushing in along with it as well. The entire squad, Severin, still with the Hawks. They managed to turn this around.
He managed to bring it back as well. And now is committing to losing one player to plant the spike. Not a worthy or not a worth it thing to try to honestly do.
The judge on Mojer.
Famous got
Puji
the
Tuhan
operator.
menang.
He's on the
Alhamdulillah
contact,
ya.
waiting for it patiently. And you know
Hadir
Famous
Abisat
can
Mang
always
Jackie
hit
bantai-bantai.
those.
Bangis.
It's going to be a
Bit is
really
doing
crucial
better ya.
and
No.
very interesting 1v1
Alhamdulillah.
outside of Bats. You can see Ja patiently waiting, but
Halo siya.
he's afraid and he's aware, and he's about to swing
Puji
right now. And his
Tuhan.
teammates trying to help him out.
Aduh.
Famous, no! He throws out the boom bot and gets caught by Ja. The timing is too pristine, is too good. And this leaves two at the back of the site. Both controllers are here. Shiro also comes in. If Naos realizes this, they can go for the TP. But Boom have committed to helping this thing out. They're popping shots. They're hoping that maybe they can catch the plant. But there's so much time for Naos. They don't really need to take things too intensely. They have options. They can go back. They can back away. And that is what they do. Papichulo still hides somewhere else. Where's the snake coming through? Severin gets the catch up, but that was too much out in the open, and he can't really do too much. As Shiro gets caught, that's Senior Carl, and this is blow by blow, push and pull, and Naos and Boom are duking it out here on Bind.
Just knowing exactly how to play around it too. You watch Naos control the site. Yes, the opening picks were there. Yes, Ja heard that Boombot and instantly peeked off of it. But at the same time, you see a lot of these plays coming through from Boom. They spent so much utility in the early parts of the round that they didn't have too much on the retake. Now as the paint shells, Mojer inside of Bats, Lamps, it was so strong.
Bawa langsung
They're
aja
going
Ron
for it
ke
again. Oh my
itunya kalau
God!
mau.
A sudden double! He blasts back straight into them! Severin only gets a trade! And it doesn't quite favor Boom. Their economy is bad. And Naos are now flushing out into the B site, even dodging it, which saves his teammate. Famous tries to go for a Hail Mary spray, but it doesn't find anything.
Aku WhatsApp aja deh
All
Koran.
of those bullets are just flying through thin air and then falling down. It's gone. This retake, how do you make it happen?
Ooh.
Berserks, they're still going to try anyway, using the Sky Smoke for a bit of cover, but then the Incendiary to flush him out of position. Naos are in the lead.
Ja was pretty far forward, actually. He pushed all the way through elbow and then spawn, so he has all the information that nobody's going to come through on the main entrance. It's probably both on the flank, but the biggest thing, the biggest play there was Mojer bringing out the shotgun play. We talk about how he's been somewhat tempered by Naos here, but he does have his moments. He does have those entry capabilities, and we see that coming in now. Still, it was the weaker buy for Boom here, and now they're back at it once again with the upgrade, or with their rifles. They have Blaze King who has the Viper's Pit, but this time Boom is on the back burner. They're on the back end of things, and Naos is in the driver's seat.
2 rounds away just from tying it up, and you want as many as possible on your halves. Of course, Boom are defending, but so far, again, with the way that things started, they got a lot of information with the utility spent, but now Naos are trying to work against that, getting them to bait that out, and then the execute goes through. Naos, they've got a lot more conviction this time.
They definitely do. It
Ada
feels like
top
they're a
5
lot more
kita tempat
focused
cewek
after
ini.
those
Gokil
past couple of
gak,
rounds
bro?
again. This is like the thing that
Abang
keeps
gua,
happening every single game,
abang
that they have to get
aing deh.
that timeout
Tapi
first.
anjing.
They
Dia
need
kadang
those
nggak
words
nganggep
of
gue
encouragement from
sebagai
Amex, and then that's when they start
Aduh,
to,
kan.
you know,
Pantes
mellow out a
anaknya
little bit
ambilnya
more and
Sephiroth
look a
sama
lot
Flip.
more
Kenapa,
convincing.
bro?
But I will say as well, those are
What's
some lucky
your
pickoffs that Naos did get. I did not expect Famous to get that, or Ja to get that catch onto Famous when he was just
Mojer.
about to throw out the boom ball out of nowhere.
And then Mojer, of course, into, you know, three
Yeah,
players from Boom as
Tahuka,
well.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes you could call it fate or luck or destiny. There are lots of different names for this, but whatever it is, you have to seize it. Carpe diem. This is your moment, and you have to take your place, because if you don't, you let that slip, and you never quite know how this tiebreaker could go. Boom loses this, they might not make playoffs. And there are lots of conditions, lots of big ifs. This group is way too close, way too tight, that everyone needs all of their wins. Naos are now setting up for a B hit. You got 4 players all positioned around this spot, actually, because of that Viper Spit. That flush now is over. So here comes the hit, a bit of a hawk, but the Sky Smokes block it just in time. Famous is still alive, and he's seen Mojer, but his position has been revealed through the smokes as well. Wits connects the shot. Berserks takes his place, and now comes up from behind. Does Naos expect this? There is that bit of a Viper's Pit. He pushes at the right time, but Papi Chulo punches through. 2 players left, and it's the same story. Blaze King, he's arrived on the scene, and Severine is right from behind. Tries to go in for a spray to bait out the push, but he's not good enough. Wits holds it down, and he brings Naos to 7.
Naos played that beautifully. Yes, there were some trades from Boom, but the thing is, there was no need to plant the spike. They had 40 seconds. They knew that the Viper Spit could be a liability for them, so they used it as much as they can for their advantage. And what's kind of good about this, if you're looking at the minimap real quick, as Wisp gets the refrag there, Mojer didn't actually push to the back of the site. He played inside the smoke of one of the brimstones and held there because he only had the judge, and he really didn't have to go that far because, again, he had to play in position where his teammates could refrag him right after he gets the pick. As I mentioned, Wits was able to get a shot through the smoke.
Still a round win, though, and this brings Naos to so many ultimates that they can use to close out this first half. An 8-4 will be so strong and incredibly tough for Boom to come back from. So Boom, how do you take this? They've got a judge on Blaze King. We've seen him get ratty before, but Naos aren't on his position. In fact, it's all up towards the A site. You've got Severine with a judge of his own, but is he gonna get checked? The main thing for Naos is to get the spike planted up around Truck, and so far they've been good on it. In fact, you've got Ja on that toward the Force. Nobody's holding up Heaven, and that is a bit of information for Naos. By process of elimination, they can kind of guess how Boom are positioned around this, and they are guessing right. They know that there are a couple players up inside of Showers, and there's where Mojer executes. Here comes the party. He brings it, and Ja and Papi Chulo are finding the shots. Famous, just as soon as he tried to peek out, he gets taken. It's gonna be Shira and Blaze King again, 2 players only from Boom in a big retake. The numbers never favor them. Blaze, he's played this angle before, but this time he doesn't have the range. It's up to Shiro. So off with the first pick, he pulls out the Hunter's Fury. Tries to connect onto it again. Blaze, he's just looking for anything. But again, the angle being held. He baits out the shots. 1 left in the chamber. Ja lands it at the right time. Shiro. And now the slow field in play. Blaze King has no option. This round is as good as gone.
Definitely is. There's no time. Doesn't want to get any more exit frags for Naos here, even though that's the last round. And Naos, they brought back confidence to their front line. Ja and Mojer looking fantastic on their entries. That was perfect use of the double satchel into the showstopper, even though Famous was able to get a little bit more contact. He was able to deal with that.
Yeah, I know. I
He
was
wasn't able
muted
to
for a bit. I
deal
was in the
with
call.
the
Sorry,
extra
guys.
player, Papi Chulo, coming in through Bass. You can see here, it was also awkward because, as he mentioned, Blaze King, he wasn't able to pick up a weapon, so he was just holding a judge that entire round. And what can he really do? His teammate Shiro only has the Guardian, so unless there was a smoke they could use to cross, unless there was something that they can use to close the distance, his weapon was very much null and void.
Precisely. I mean, this is very, very painful. But, you know, you talked about it. Yes, we need to see those timeouts. And sometimes that is what gives Naos their wind. Maybe sometimes it's the third map as well. Sometimes it's also a little bit lacking from Boom's side. Keep in mind, those rounds that they just lost, 4 in a row to Naos, by the way. A couple of rounds ago, they actually had a timeout from Meow, and they didn't find that impact. We had Blazeking with the Viper's Pit, flushing Naos over onto the B site, but Naos used that timeout to find a counter plan as well. And then that last one in the first half just kind of fell flat. It felt like a bit of a desperation play from Boom. It's not working out great. This pistol needs to go their way, because if they don't find this, that could be it. That could be Naos potentially making playoffs and maybe Boom dropping out.
There's so much on the line.
Adobo gang, no.
That we are in the group stage, but that only means that you're trying to secure your slot for the playoffs.
Ama pechelele.
Spot. Well, 3 spots for this.
Well, yes, but one spot to ascend.
Sorry, I thought we were still talking about the playoffs, but you're absolutely right. 1 spot to ascend, 1 spot to get into the Pacific League, to get that 2-year contract. That is incredibly huge accomplishment if any of these teams, or one of these teams, can make that happen.
Let's see. Well, Boom already starting things off with a lot of space. But look at Mojer inside of Lamps. Oh, just headshotted through by Shiro. Famous now close. And that leaves 2 players left. Boom. They start things with smoke and mirrors and also just a lot of firepower pushing through.
Okay, which is good for the first contact with the Headhunter. Papichulo now has to start sandwiching things. I know it's a 2 versus 4, but they have to do something. Look at this 3-man push from Boom. This is overwhelming Papichulo, but somehow he still comes out on top. Time not their friend anymore, it's their enemy, so they have to start running in, but it's not going to be enough. Papichulo just can't find where Echo is, and even though he can basically break through the entirety of Boom, that spike is ready to implode. A fadeaway 4K, but the round in the end, the second half, started by Boom Esports.
A great win for Boom, but nonetheless, despite the 3-man push, that's just a target-rich environment for Papichulo. With those 4 frags, that's 4 points away from his Viper's Pit. A very useful piece of utility on the defensive side. Again, Boom, they play through time, they play through aggression, and this time it works out.
Bajir, Papichulo, Chok lagi menyala John.
We're thinking about how so many of these players have that experience.
Wait, itu barusan kalah ya?
Papichulo is a guy with experience as well.
Enggak kan?
Yeah, don't forget that.
You
talk about the players now as being the young guns.
bisa sukses Chok maksudnya kerjaan sama nonton ini.
Of course, given to by Blazeking. Mojo trying to get back into cover, but no chance. Blazeking presses on the advantage. Singer Cross somehow tracks down Famous. But again, this A site is already given up.
Malas.
Wall, smoke, covering, shrouding, and Blazeking still pushes in, and he pays the price. That does drop the Spectre, which could be something, but Berserks, he's just too good. He's just great on the follow-up. And Boom Esports giving that little bit of gap close, bit by bit, round by round.
Yeah, of course. You know, we were looking for Berserk to pop off. On the control, it's a little bit different for sure, but still good for the duel. Still good for the shots. You start things off with Naos, of course, on a pistol, so Ja just tries to find whatever pick he can get. But Blazeking with that Spectre. I mean, this guy, he's out for blood, and he pushes all the way through in. Yeah, he might have lost his Spectre in that Sky Smoke out by Defender Spawn, but it was also information for the team. So now, next round, he managed to pick up another one from his teammate, of course, and it's going to be Naos with the full buys. If Boom can pick up this round, that would be great for the momentum, but it's not so likely. The paint shells deployed to kind of force people out of position, but instead, it's just going to be used as a ploy. Double satchels in, and then the shot from Severine. Boom. They've managed to plant their flag on the site. Now trying to make their way through. They push from the teleporter. They try to find a couple of shots. They've got Hookah, and the paint shells will be able to explode onto Severine. However, it's been smoked off. You need to push out from the other sides now, or you're just going to burn down the timer even further. And that's Boom's entire game plan. B-Long is being watched by Shiro. With these weapons picked up,
oh my
however,
god.
I guess Naos will just opt for the save instead. And this means Boom has picked up that bonus win, Aserai.
Yeah, they picked up the bonus round. They've picked up the...
Itu ada suara Gary, Cok.
Again, just the gap closed on those rounds itself. There was no chance for Naos to really retake the site 3 versus 5, especially when Boom have such great control and farther angles where they're picking stuff up. Okay, Shiro, that's going to be even more expensive for Naos here. I mean, yeah, to be fair, they're really not going to buy up into this round, but 3 players with a rifle is obviously better than 2. The big factor to this as well is they didn't respect the double satchel from Famous. Like, Papichulo stayed in the site hoping that maybe he can get some catch off on the players stuck at hookah for the moment and Wits, but the quick rundown of Boom on the B site was just too much for them to handle.
It's a bit of a delayed push too, because after the double satchel, Severin peeks off. So Naos has a lot working against them. They're still going to fight fire with fire though. Peeking out of A short, trying to get a pick. Ja doesn't quite find what he wants to, but his teammate will instead. And this weakens Boom's approach. They only have 1 pair of smokes to work with this time. Berserk's out. There's only a toxic screen up around the A side that they can use, and this isn't necessarily the best play. In fact, it just informs Naos about how Boom might want to set up. So Ja is waiting for a push outside of Bats. Meanwhile,
Gary Ongko, iya kan kok Gary nonton langsung di situ.
Boom does manage to push through, you can expect a lot of that to rain down from the heavens, and that could very well discourage the spike plant. Here it comes. Famous. He anticipates that push, so he peeks the angle instead, and Senior Carl will come back through. He picks up the Vandal from his fallen foe, excuse me, and that's going to be now the angle held.
Chico, nggak nampak live. Kemarin tuh kamu follow IG aku dong, aku kemarin ngedate sama Cole.
Naos needs to go in and they need to go
Aku habis cat rambut guys.
The entire pistol squad now fanning out across the site, but Shiro prepared for this. Blaze King looking out for this too.
Udah weh.
Sprayed down and Ja finds the trades and we're back to a one-on-one. If Ja lands the perfect shot, this could be it. Severin just gets further information. He's buying out for time. The discipline on this man. Look at the wide
Nice, Uchi.
While he lands the shot, the spike still goes off, and this is now Boom closing in the gap.
Oh wow, Severin actually wide swung.
Swung.
I see it. He was trying to see if Ja has the capability to track a target. Well, the answer there was a resounding yes, but the problem here for Boom, or the problem here for Naos, is Boom was able to obviously buy enough time for that spike to explode. Very expensive to say at the least, especially when that wasn't supposed to be around where it was made expensive by Naos, when Naos do have the weaker weapons. And this actually might help Naos in the end because, again, Boom's economy
din tadi aku cari kok belum live. Iya, sorry, aku ada urusan di luar.
Then now they slow down the pace.
Ini baru pulang, aku baru pulang langsung live, Cok.
Then that Famous finds the trades. Pichulo is going for another swing. He commits to the fight and unfortunately gets defeated. Now his teammates come in on time.
Oh my god.
Oh, the utility timed out perfectly from Boom. They knew that these guys would have rotated over. Spike planted and Mojer is left cold and alone. Can this ranked demon become a land demon, Aserai?
That's a very big question. Mojer, I mean, Senior Carl tried to absorb everything because he thought he could squeeze through and catch the players of Boom off guard.
What?
Oh, Mojer!
Let's go! Tuh PH. Udah bagus, Cok.
That one. He had a chance to maybe get the 2-pick, but big problem there was they were too well placed for the off angles and too close enough that the refrag was very quick to come. And this is such a big issue too. Look at this. Just they committed too hard on, you know, pushing up mid, and they paid the price for that.
Really unfortunate. And again, a game like Valorant is a game of confidence, and sometimes you need to go for those plays. You need to peek out together with your team, and sometimes it's just a little bit unfortunate, a little bit tough especially when you see that many targets in front of you. It's a bit of a gamble, and unfortunately for Naos, it doesn't pay off. So this is now the next timeout, the last timeout being called out by Amix, Naos' coach. If this does not find its impact,
Takot ada yung teriak.
that
Kaya
could
pa
be the
ako.
momentum lost,
Siya
and
pa
that
choke
could
and
be
check lang dito,
Boom
Gary,
now
ato ako.
just taking
Dito
the
yung
lead on this
check
entire map. Remember,
Guys,
Boom
siapa
came
bukan
back
baru extend
from an 8-4
mata ya.
deficit.
Ini tuh gas saya berat banget nih 5 tahun.
Definitely
Wah,
scrounged themselves back up.
gue udah lama
Oh,
nggak
just off topic,
extend
I
tuh
just
kayak,
noticed that Papachulo's monitor
Aing
way
teh
higher than any player of
kemarin
now,
nggak
so they can't really see like the members of Boom shouting them.
muncul
Maybe that's why he's not getting
mata.
tilted, because he can't really see the players of Boom. You
Sekarang
can't do
mata
this,
gue
you can't do
berat.
that.
Susah melek.
I'm not even joking, it's real.
Huh?
It could be a possibility. That's why he's so calm, right? Because he can't. He made sure that they can't see, or he can't see their faces. But now, go back to the serious matter at hand. Naos, they are so starved for a round here. You mentioned the 4 to 8. Look at the number of rounds that Boom have gotten ever since the second half started. All of them.
God, very close to it all, but still. Thinking about how Boom is going to play this. Again, this team has evolved since way back when in their Indonesian Challengers League. Oh my God.
It's
good! From Shiro, what?
Wah,
Even the last beam, it tags
anjir,
up onto
kena cok ke
Papichulo.
Papichulo. Itu ada yang main monitor kayak Kangkang siapa ya? Yang paling ujung ya?
We'll just already. Whoa, wait, what? Okay, he wanted to go for the safer cross, waiting for the wall of Poppy to help him at least get that, again, transfer through, so that maybe they can start moving up to the A site. This is going to be so important for Wits to hold this angle and for his teammates to hopefully hold the angle on the A site. He's actually taking back the rendezvous. Blaze King has been hit the shot. Wits got to be careful because now they know where he is. The smoke is right there. He's backing away. 40 seconds. Mojer pushing up onto mid. They can always TP. There's a little bit of an angle here. There's a showstopper, but Papichulo close in hand. He's gonna get caught out in the open. There's the ultimate, but Senor Carl gets two. Through the wall bang. Mojer, where did it come from? With the showstopper, with the flank. How does this happen? You usually see the backstab with the Blaze, but not with the rocket.
Ngikutin
And it
Kangkang
just
cok.
brings the party over onto Boom. Impact found off of the timeout, and you just see how they exactly read this play. Well, there might have been a pick outside of B. Now just baited and rotated over onto the A side just as quick. And Ja with the tour de force as well. Mojer up from behind. Boom run, fortunately beaten to smithereens. It's not over yet though, because Boom has bought back up and they've got some ultimates to work with.
They got the money, they got the utility. It's a neck and neck fight, 9-9. Ja has the operator. Wits trying to bait out. There's the nade. Shouldn't really hit him. Seeker's activated, and he played it perfectly. Famous thought that he had the the dogs out, but it was Ja that was the true dog in the situation, biting, barking, and just gnawing at the targets. Has another rundown through onto B long. If there is an unfortunate soul that peeks through this, Ja might be able to get a hit. Smoke actually placed by Boom themselves, maybe to get control onto Octagon here to isolate, separate many of the players, but B site is still pretty much encompassed by the players of Naos, and through all of this, Papichulo has actually activated his Viper Spit.
And that just funnels Boom into the teleporter. Mojer, as well as Senor Carl, have been up around this position for the longest time. They knew a teleporter play was at hand. Perfectly countered. This leaves Boom with only 3 players left. 30 seconds left in the round. They know not to go through the teleporter now. But if they do go through market, there would be Senor Carl. If they go back straight into B, they've got to work against the Viper's Pit. This round is nigh impossible for Boom to win. So it's going to be the save instead.
They have to think about their economy as well.
Sampai ini kalau skornya semua dua-dua seru banget.
In this point, and they're not at that level yet where they have that max loss bonus, so
this
they can't
game
really
has
anticipate
been
or they can't really expect that they can buy into that next round. Excuse me. So a save is the only way for Boom here. It is so razor thin. The margins for both of these teams is on that level where one slight mistake is gonna cost them the round.
And still, I mean, if you think about it, Boom could very well lose their lead and momentum.
Boom udah
But
kalah
this is
cuma
the
dari
strength
TV1
that Naos
anjing.
had after Amix's timeout. They saved up all those ultimates from the previous rounds, and it came out for this moment. It paid dividends. The Viper's Pit. Scenario Carl still
Caster
sitting on his
biasnya
orbital
malu-malu.
strike.
Tahu anjing.
I'm wondering
PH
when
caster
would be the best
bitch.
time for Meow to
Sorry,
call
sorry.
the
Sorry.
next time out.
Dia minute.
Because Boom looked like they needed.
Jaketnya Zaki.
Blaze King
Iya.
buys up on a Bucky. Wow,
Makanya
and
kamu
with the peak from
lihat
Scenario
kalian
Carl
lihat sih
too.
tadi dia tuh gak pakai
Tip of the
jaket.
spear has been
Dia pakai
blunted
jaketnya
and
siapa gitu
berserks
tadi.
now. Tries to answer back. He will be on
Nice
fight
banget
shot.
Rizky, ya Allah.
Orbital strike spent a little bit early for my liking though.
Yeah, but at least it does push them back out because that pick on
Aang,
Ja
kenapa
might
sok
have
mati
made the
di mana
players
lagi
of
aja?
Boom
Aduh, kena OP
feisty
lagi
enough
ya.
to actually keep pushing on to
Lihat
a
dulu kan
short.
yang-
So
ya, yang
a little bit of
gitu.
pushback, a little
Harusnya,
bit of
iya,
reposition here
pasti.
for Naos might not be the worst thing as of the moment. And what's good about that too is Singer Carl initially has heard both of the flashes as well as the Trailblazer used by Severing. So there's not really much utilities unless they peek him to check out that positioning on Cubby, which he has so much control over right now.
And then you also have Mojer, the young gun, sitting around the site watching Bats because he knows they might double down onto this site.
Ya Allah,
Just
serem
waiting
banget.
for the
Ah!
right
Mau
time,
nangis
but
gua.
unfortunately, a little bit of movement error. The shot will not connect. This gives Blaze King a bit more room, a bit more space with the Viper's Pit to get the spike planted and then to play around it. You would have thought that Scenario Carl had such a great position, but with this Viper's Pit now, that is completely eliminated. Witz has to make a play in together with the entire team. Sends out the Hawk, maybe to bait out a couple of sprays, but nobody makes a sound. Senior Carl now coming up from behind a Bats. Boom is now aware of this. They're sandwiched in. They have to make their shots count, and Shiro
Nice banget,
will
Shiro.
save them for just a second.
Shiro, nice.
Tries to dance back and forth around the two, but
Tuh,
you still
Vito.
have Papi Chulo, the
Nice,
counter
nice.
Viper.
Nice.
Senior Carl from behind. A lot of footsteps
Nggak
made.
ada waktu ya?
And Berserks knows exactly when
Nggak ada
to
waktu.
spray. Papi Chulo, he knows the time is
Alhamdulillah ya
up.
Allah.
With that, the save
We live
over
another
onto the other half of the
round.
map. It's gonna
We
be
gain
Boom
another
tying
round.
the
Let's
score up
go.
once again. This
Sumpah.
match is so
I need to
close.
stress need.
Feeling the pressure here.
Kalian tahu kan
and
biasa
Naos is
orang tuh kayak
definitely
stress
feeling too.
eating, stress
The
apa
call
ler
to
gitu
push
kan.
first
Gue
before
stress
waiting
nih, gue
for
ngerajut.
Singer Carl to get a little bit closer on the flank
Biar
might have costed them that round
pikiran
because
gue nggak
Boom didn't
overthinking
really
tau
need
nggak.
to fear anything, to be honest. And
I need
look
to
at
be
this.
knitting. I
It
need
was
to
all Singer
rajut
Carl
nih.
actually getting these initial peaks.
Selalu minus 1 jantung. Iya cok, gimana sih? Gue tuh
As it is,
stres
The
tau.
impatience of Naos thinking that they could bully them out, especially inside the Viper's Pit, was wishful thinking from the Filipino team.
And I was just thinking if Meow should call a timeout, Boom's coach, and maybe he doesn't need
Sehat
to.
selalu Kak Cantik. Thank you
Naos.
Taufik, kamu juga ya.
They need
Taufik Mubarok,
to
kamu
pull themselves together.
Mubarok mau murah
Use the
banyak juara.
pre-round timer to kind of just calm yourselves down.
Why is this match so tight?
Meanwhile,
I
Boom
know,
using all of
I
this
know.
to set up
That's
plans
what
and
I'm saying,
plays.
man. Okay, how is it
Same
this
toxic
tight?
screen up towards the
I
A
thought, I
site,
mean,
and they could very
maybe
well
I'm
use that
biased
to creep
or
up into
I don't know. Maybe I'm
towards-
biased. Cuman kayak I would have
lamps.
thought it would.
That's precisely what Famous
Say,
will do.
oh, but
Bit of a tripwire
you
there,
know.
and he does sound it off. He triggers it. So Ja rears his sights over to the back.
Astagfirullahaladzim.
Fires off a shot, but it doesn't connect.
Shower,
because of
shower
those
ya.
smokes engulfing the site. Spike
Aduh, Uci
will
jauh
go
banget.
down.
Cok.
But
Belakang.
in all that time, the double flank indeed. It's gonna be now.
Astagfirullahaladzim.
Chulo!
Boy!
He connects onto a third. Severine now comes
Boy!
back from behind, but does not expect Wits. It's gonna be down to Famous. He goes up for the white swing, and Ja just shoots him through his heart.
Oh, no. This is not looking too good for Boom. They prolonged the setup a little bit too much on A short. Yes, there was a slight longer hold on Naos on B long, but once they saw the setups, once they saw
Kan Uci
again
lihat ya, dia
that
di-heal
the
ya.
utilities were already there on A short, there's no sentinel for Boom here. They can start
Itu
going in for
di-heal,
that
Cia.
long con of a flank,
Merajut
and
tuh
if they
dia.
get that value, it will pay off tenfold for Naos here. 2 more rounds for Boom 3.
And that is the big numbers that Boom has in front of them. Economy not great in this round. Meanwhile, for Naos, they're looking to exploit this firepower advantage that they have. Look at how Blaze King plays around this, though. It's, again, a good idea. Watching on the other side, it doesn't work.
No,
Sky
udah
Smokes
tahan
now
di set aja.
blocking off Baths. And the off angle will be
Padahal
held.
tahu. harusnya mereka udah tahu
Boom.
anjir.
They
Selalu
could maybe
defend
flash
anjir.
out of this, but again, will that work against Senior Carl? All the teammates on the other side. It's going to be Sky
Nice
Smokes
one.
instead. Berserk
go,
with a delayed push, a delayed
Uchi,
flank out from
let's go.
short.
Aduh, ada lagi yang flick
Manages
choke.
to find one, but Senior Carl swaps over the classic. No spike plants to be had today. Severino aimed down the sides with a bit of a burst. He manages to find a little bit of success, but Papi Chulo still, everyone from now is watching the spike. A bit of a jiggle, but it's not going to be enough. Wits ends his life and brings Naos to match point.
Cannot count Boom Esports just yet. Although I'm counting what they have in the bank.
Surely now you call a timeout?
It's not too bad. I mean, they have been doing not too bad though, as well. Like even without the timeout, Boom have been incredibly stable. So this one, when it counts the most, where it needs the most, this is where they need to hear their coach's voice, his
kemarin tuh sering
words
banget ya
of
liat orang
comfort as
komen
well as strategy as to how to bring this back. A little bit of a pause on the timer. I'm not sure what's happening here, but does give a little bit more leeway. There we go. That's the proper timeout. Meow. I thought it was like it was being a little bit longer, but sorry. Anyways, the breath.
Yeah,
that's what
I'll
Boom
take it
needs.
for you there.
Yeah.
Even everyone in this this room, this arena.
Apakah
All the
NTG?
supporters of both teams are here.
You
Yeah,
know,
this is very full arena
kalau
actually.
kalah masih
That's
bisa
the thing.
playoff.
So for
Gue
Boom
jujur itu gue nggak tahu deh, gue
and
nggak
Naos right now,
ngitungin
of
banget.
course, the coaches imparting their wisdom. But for Naos, so far so good. Their defenses is starting to work out a lot better from before. Looking at how Ja kind of
Netizen
holds
emang.
up around A
Gue
side, and of
capek
course,
Cok,
Senior
kayak apa
Carl
hubungannya
was such
sih?
an anchor
Kalian
on
tuh
the
tahu
A side.
apa?
How does Boom play around this? Can they even do that?
Baju
Sure, they've got the
putih
full buys on
garis
this
bawah,
round,
kenapa
but
nggak pakai baju hitam sih?
how much do you really have left in the
Ini yang main
tank?
bukan Famos, bro.
This is
Famos
precisely
yang
what
main.
Boom and Naos look like right now.
Gue bener-bener nggak ngerti jersey itu
Two
bisa typo tuh
fighters
gimana ceritanya sih?
Of the same
Yang itu gue
somewhat
lebih nggak
region,
ngerti itu anjir.
duking it out,
Harus menang lawan Persia.
you know,
kan.
fidgeting,
Sampai sekali hati kakaknya.
showing their footworks, trying to
Shout
move
out
their
to our
bodies,
observer.
keeping themselves loose.
Sabar,
And
sabar,
this
sabar,
is
sabar,
it.
sabar,
Look at the
sabar.
three-man
Gua
push
tahu
coming in
sih,
from
cuma
Naos
tuh
onto
kayak gue
Elong.
nggak ngerti kayak itu
They are
dari
pushing
mana
through this.
sih.
God.
Shiro, you don't
Emang
know what's
mungkin-
coming. Shiro gets back into the
away.
corner. He turns away. The naked eye. No,
Oh,
he
fuck.
doesn't. Wits gets it. First kill. 4 versus 5. Wits,
Oh.
or rather, Ja loses the shot. This is still good for Boom because they
Ya
can
Allah,
punish
minus
the
jantung.
over-aggression outside of Octa.
Ah.
You can see the nade thrown out by Famous. He at least
Blaze King.
distracts the rest of Naos for the moment. Blaze King is getting a little bit of position onto A short. They still know about this because the wall is active and there are still players of Naos holding the A side at the back of things.
And then here comes the Sky Smokes from Berserks. One from Senior Carl, too. None left in the tank, but still a lot of utility from Mojer. And if he times this right, he might be able to stop the spike plant, but of course Famous wants to put an end to it as well. Gets the
Baby.
first shot on Senior Carl,
Peace, Bob.
and then the paint shells through. Orbital Strike being deployed out from
Papi Chulo.
Berserks just to keep them at bay. Severine needs to stick the plant right now. And yes, you're right, Esrai. Papi Chulo is on a big flank from behind.
Papi
Famous
Chulo
seems
hari-hari
to be
gimana?
aware of this,
Mojer!
though. And then the Seeker's out. Mojer gets a shot. The young
Ini
gun now
apa
coming
sih,
up the
POV
left
apa
in this
ini? I need to
final
see what the
moment,
people
but
are-
here comes Famous as well. Wits, he
I need
fires
to see
right
the players'
back.
POV,
2
man.
on 2 from Bats as well as Lamps.
Holy
On
fuck.
towards Truck though, and Berserks just needs the
Okay.
right peak, the right timing onto this. He sees the barrel, but no!
Why?
He ends it all with a double spray. Naos! Now is the time!
That was a huge mistake. He was scanning. He didn't even see Wits. He was hidden on box. He was supposed to be the first one, and then he saw the long barrel of Ja Law, and he thought he could get him. But Wits got the
Sulit
third.
masuk
He got the
playoff,
fourth. He got the game, and he got the series.
Oh my God! Everything in that final moment.
Kenapa sih?
And those cheers
Aduh,
from
ya
Naos
Allah.
sounding out throughout this entire room. Boom, unfortunately, such a hard-fought round. Such a hard-fought series. And we invite them to take their bow. I mean, they were close. It came out from an 8-4 at the end of the first half. Boom won 5 rounds in a row. It was back and forth. But despite all of that,
Salva color grading naman kamera bagus.
It's gonna be Naos instead who takes their spot.
Man, that definitely silenced Boom there. They were shouting, they were taunting. But in the end, these are still sportsman competitors. Very much have seen each other time and time again in Southeast Asia and now here in APAC. There's a lot of questions. There's a lot of questions about Naos and how they're going to perform. And they did exceedingly well against a Boom that was awake.
Yeah. I mean, you just have to think about how everything has played out so far today. Starting things off on Boom's map pick, they kind of let it slip. And then onto the next one as well. I mean, now is on Pearl.
Kenapa gue buka HL
TV?
Halo, gue juga udah nggak sinkron, guys.
It was very close throughout the entire thing. But on towards Bind, especially Bind, is where he had a lot of explosive rounds, a lot of pushes and peaks, and maybe even a bit of a step up from some of the players that, you know, were a little bit quiet from before. Mojer.
Yeah.
He's a name that comes to mind.
That was interesting too, because again, I thought the timeout would have been to address the B-long push that Naos keep doing. That's why the flank was always there for like the past 2 rounds. And then Shiro just out of nowhere uses the drone. Everybody leaves him. He gets dried out into the open. And then that was the start of the downfall. Imagine if they still had Shiro. Imagine if he was still there to help out the team with the reconnaissance, with the clutch capabilities. Mac, what was that series?
My heart was pounding for both sides. The fans were so passionate here in the audience watching that towards the dying round. So many close ones, so many clutches. But what it came down to was Naos just abusing the protocols of Boom. The amount of times where they just decided, hey, we are retaking, we are flooding, we're going dry. And they're just
Mamat.
any
Coba guys, gue pernah ketemu Mamat anjir.
good at taking those sites, especially in that second half.
Aku pernah
But the
ketemu
retakes,
Mamat tuh.
Senor
Kita
Carl,
pernah
I'm
ketemu
looking
kan,
at him, right? You remember that round? He just ran through those smokes completely dry, said, follow me. And there was no chance for Boom to communicate that he was coming, that the freight train was just whacking him with that Vandal. This man, he's my MVP, even if it wasn't his performance that won him the game.
I mean, Boom really had no idea. You talked about those protocols, and Boom, you know, it's again this new style that they've picked up ever since they've evolved from their Challenger series. They come in here and they're trying to play a little bit more careful, a little bit more safe, and that's why you see that Owl Drone out by B-Long as well. But it's precisely in some of these where you find those nuances. And now I think, you know, maybe it's Amix, and he really cracks those strategies wide open.
Oh, there you go. He did come through with the highest ACS, so he's got that MVP in the back pocket. Senor Carl, a little shout out to him. Puppy Chulo, though, 2 KD in a series this close, or in a map this close, rather. This man was insane as well, putting up many multi-kills throughout. Jar, stellar performance. Moja, he dug deep. He was the man we were questioning going into the third map of the series, but managed to pull through. Used some very intuitive blast satchels as well, mind you, while the series was going through. And then look, it feels so bad for Boom Shiro. So many multi-kills, so many 3Ks, 4Ks, just trying to find that impact, but it wasn't enough to get the rounds across the line. And look at this. Yes, Boom, they were playing from the back foot, but it still wasn't enough, right? Look at that. These stats are skewed as hell.
That's like almost 3 times whatever Boom has. But in the first kills, of course.
Yeah. I'm speechless about that one. No Thrifties this time, interestingly enough. But, oh my God, what an incredible rise up here from Naos. And on the flip side for Boom, I think it was Mac was mentioning it, that it was having issues, Famous. But, yeah, there was no issues whatsoever from the side here of Naos, especially Senor Carl.
Overall, Senor Carl
Satu grup berapa yang lolos? 3.
3 takes everyone else's MVP apparently.
3
so
nih.
Now Esports got to be happy with that. And I have a stat for you which is now relevant as hell. There is now a 1 in 4 chance that we are going to have a 5-way tie in Group Alpha because Naos won. So it relies on a few things. I don't have all the statistics, but I will write them down before we jump on into the next series. I just wanted to throw that one out there because that is spicy. And that is also a bit of a headache for a lot of the admins out back. So we'll see. We'll see how it all goes down. But fortunately, we do have tiebreaker protocols in there. You know, shout outs to Boom. You can see their stats were pretty good across the series. But yeah, Famous, He ended up, look, actually everyone across the board on their team was pretty much even in terms of KD shared results throughout the series. But in terms of ACS, Famous again just didn't have that impact. He had some big rounds. He had some very important rounds, especially on Pearl, which got them across the line. But then they just weren't here on Bind. But we need to focus on the positives. We need to focus on the winners. And it's time to have a chat with Now's Esports about this big dub.
Gue lupa ngapain gue stay for interview ya anjing. Ini siapa sih? Ini Jaya.
เอาละครับผมก็สวัสดีทุกท่านอีกครั้งหนึ่งนะครับ
ชีบัล
วันนี้นะครับเราก็มาอยู่
ชีบัลโลปะ
นาออสจานั่นเองนะครับ and everybody we are here with Naos Ja please give a round of applause awesome I love
Valorant Indo ada ini nggak guys?
again congratulations for the win
Di akhir-akhir ini lately gue nggak tahu apa yang terjadi. Menurut gue mereka harus bener-bener
Ngapain gue di YouTube ya?
berapa kali, tapi ya itu nggak best perform yang kita tahu ini Bumi Sports gitu. Kelihatan ini Serigala masih yang kemarin di match kedua itu udah Serigala yang galak banget. Kali ini di match yang ketiga itu kayak Serigalanya masih baik gitu. Kayak kelihatannya kayak gitu, taringnya tuh masih tumpul dan itu dia menjadi akhir dari game kedua kita hari ini. Recapnya buat teman-teman yang baru bergabung, map pertama yaitu Ascent dimenangkan oleh Naos Esports 13-11 yang dimana pilihan dari Boom Esports. Dan di map kedua ada Pearl, itu diambil oleh Boom Esports 13-10. Bounce back dari Naos masih gagal dari 12-4 jadi 13-10. Dan Naos Esports menutup map yang ketiga 13-10, Bind yang menjadi decider kita. Sekali lagi di awal pas kita ngelihat map Vitonya, gua Yanto sama Jamal udah kayak wah boleh nih, udah mulai bisa full senyum nih, map Vitonya bagus nih. Kalau di Ascent bisa didapetin sama salahnya skema, teori, skenario itu semua dipatahin sama Naos Esports. So jadi ini masih open banget untuk grup Alpha karena emang ini secara strategi inkonsistensi ini masih merata banget dari semua tim. Dan masih ada satu match lagi untuk Bumi Sports di esok hari. Teman-teman jangan sedih dulu, kita dukung aja, kita kasih support yang terbaik. Dan kita akan menuju ke game yang ketiga antara Blitz melawan D plus Kia. Tapi sebelum kita masuk ke game yang ketiga, kita akan break sejenak. Jadi jangan kemana-mana, tetap di VCT Ascension Pacific.
Congol gua, back overthinking gak sih mainan ini. Betul. Fancy menang lawan Sylvia. Kok bingung ya? Bumi ini bantai-bantai Fancy. Fancy menang lawan One. Tapi Bumi terable-able lawan. Membagongkan cok. Pakai bisa gitu. Iya sayang banget map 1 harusnya bisa 2-0 dah sumpah. Bisa lah. Besok pakai jersey hitam fix. Pakai jersey hitam dah. Capek dah. Fix. Ya udahlah, it's okay. Udah guys, aku cuma mau nobar doang. Bel lagi live.
Kita kalau nggak marah-marah kayak gini juga ya seru, jangan lah cok. Kagak, maksud gua tuh sumpah menurut gua apa ya, ini outplay sih, outstrat. Karena lu lihat aja nih, Shiro sama sekali nggak siap nembak nih. Tuh, dia kaget musuhnya di situ. Lu lihat aja tuh. Dia kaget coy, musuhnya di situ.
See you guys. Oh my god. Thank you ya for watching my not even an hour. Bahkan gue live masih sejam anjing, game udah kelar. Kebanyakan laki tadi map 1 aku nonton sih ya. Kebanyakan Feel outplay sih. Outplayed. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. I love you all. See you tomorrow. Besok ako masih nobar harusnya. Thank you ya guys. Bye.